This week on Cruise In.
I took the parts car and made the Voodoo Sahara out of it.
Born from the ashes of a parts car, the retro futuristic Voodoo Sahara takes flight.
Another building got built next to it. The truck was locked in for about 50 years.
Now that's indoor storage. Great classic cars come with plenty of options, but only a rare few have this.
I have a recipe book that tells different foods that you can put in here and how far you have to drive before that food is cooked.
Miles to go before we eat. Plus,
they said we will work directly with you and create a paint that no one has ever seen before.
What kind of paint's on the truck?
and probably the most expensive too. Just wait till you hear what's in it. Where did you come across this?
This is something you'd find in your local scrapyard.
Most unique scrapyard find ever. Cruise In from the piston-powered AutoRama starts right now.
This week on Cruise In, it's so much more than cars. Hi, I'm Will Burge, and welcome to the piston-powered AutoRama in Cleveland, Ohio. Their theory, if a piston makes it go, it's in the show. There's tons of crazy stuff to see, so let's get started. All right, guys, this is a very futuristic ride you got here. What is this?
Well, this started life as a 1954 Kaiser Manhattan four-door.
My parts car, actually.
Yes, her parts car from her Kaiser that she got for her birthday 2 years ago. I took the parts car and made the Voodoo Sahara out of it.
This is insane. I mean, what was the original idea for this? Where did it come from?
The original idea was actually built, the original car was called the Golden Sahara, built by George Barris back in 1954. In 54, George had built the first version of the Golden Sahara, and then in 58, the owner of it took it back to Dayton, Ohio, and had it customized in the Golden Sahara 2. What I did is I took both versions, the Golden Sahara 1 and the Golden Sahara 2, and did my interpretation of both cars.
Almost as a tribute to
George Barris, which we know we lost him about a little over a year ago. 2 years build time, after hours, because I'm building customers' cars, so this is my own personal. So early mornings and late nights is when I spent on the car. And here we are having it today, right here.
Showing it here in Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah, it's a beautiful show here.
And when he told you your parts car is going to become this, what did you think?
I think I knew he had a plan. I knew there was a plan when I had a parts car.
The parts car got done before her car got done.
Right, my car's still in the works. So one day I'll be next to this so everybody can be like, what? That's what it started as, a 54 Kaiser Manhattan. So it'll be exciting to see them next to each other.
And the interior, how long did it take to do that? I mean, it's crazy.
You're not going to believe this, but my interior guy did that interior in 2 days.
Really? 2
days from scratch. So I can have it as its first show, and it's all hand done. They used original late 50s, early 60s couch material, which is the green, and all the pleats you see is actually real tuck and roll. It's not pleated, It's real tuck and roll.
He's a genius.
That's what he specializes in. If you look under the fender wells, it's all tuck and roll down there too. The whole trunk is done the same way.
What's your favorite part of this car?
You know, my favorite part of the car, honestly, is seeing the crowd's reaction. When I load this thing off a trailer on Thursday nights for load-in time, the people just start, all the guys just loading it are coming around the car looking at it. But during show hours, look at the people, and that's what makes me happy. That's like my award, to see these people just dig this. They're like, wow, I can't believe. Some of the older generation come up like, I remember seeing cars like this back in the late 50s, early 60s, you know?
They remember the time, the era of when it was, the Golden Sahara was shown.
That's why I built it as the early version of show cars, when you used to gain points by body modifications. To turn that car into something that it didn't even start life as, into something just crazy out of this world, you know.
It looks amazing. It's awesome. Thank you so much for bringing it out. Very, very cool.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It means a lot. The crowds really dig it, and that's...
Oh, they're loving it.
That's pretty cool, Daddy-O.
Yeah, thank you again. All right, Ronnie, this is really cool. This is a little blast from the past you got here. What is this?
This truck is a 1918 white, made for World War I by the White Motor Company in Cleveland, Ohio, and not sold until about 1922, when the Cleveland Plain dealer bought it as a spare delivery truck. It was run by the Cleveland Plain dealer as a spare truck, and then it was put in the basement of a building, we don't know what building, and another building got built next to it. The truck was locked in for about 50 years until they tore the building down next door, and then the truck was rescued.
So how long have you had it?
We have had it a little over a year.
And is this something you were looking for? Did you kind of stumble across it, or?
We collect white trucks, and we collect antique construction equipment. We like anything local made, white trucks, Euclid road machinery, Winton engines, anything made in the local area. So we're always on the lookout for it. We spent about 6 months cleaning and preserving the truck. I don't call this a restoration because it's really not, it's a preservation. The truck is about 95% original.
Wow.
And it runs great. It's just a joy to operate and to show off to people.
And the tag inside the cab, what is that?
The truck was built originally, like I said, for World War I. It was never sold. And then when Plain Dealer bought it, they had a company out of Cincinnati build the cab for it. And the cardboard break-in tag is still up on the back of the inside of the truck that tells you how to oil everything inside the cab and maintain your cab.
It's only about 100 years old.
It'll be 100 years old next year.
Wow, that's something else.
And it's an amazing piece of local history. We're just happy to be able to preserve it.
And the tires are amazing to me. I mean, those, that actually, I mean, that can't be a comfortable ride riding around that.
No, but these trucks didn't go very fast. I think about 20 miles an hour was as fast as you were going to run. These are the original solid rubber tires. I mean, you talk about long life, they're almost 100 years old and still going.
That's like a mummy tucked away in a tomb and you got them out. We appreciate you putting the work in because this is awesome.
Well, it's our pleasure to bring it out.
Well, since we had on Overkill last year, I figured we might as well check in with Jim and Josh to see what they brought to the show this year. I see a bed frame, I see theater seats. What the heck is this thing?
This is a 1940 Dodge cab over we've aptly named Smoke Bomb. This is a coal rolling truck that we put together just for the show. It's got everything in here you can imagine. We've used feeder seats, as he already talked about. We've got light buckets off a 1940s Chevy truck that we're using for air cleaner intakes. So come on down to the Piston Power Show and check us out.
That's the type of madness you see down here, and there's more coming up next.
Welcome back to the piston-powered AutoRama on Cruise In.
Well, this looks like it's built for Cleveland winters. What do you got here?
This is a 1919 Ford Model T snowmobile. This is a conversion that was original. It's nothing that we did. It's nothing modern. It's something, the car is 98 years old now, and it's a snowmobile conversion that was built because these old cars couldn't go in the winter. There was no snow plows back then, so the cars would be put up in the barn on blocks, and sometimes the snow was too deep for horses. So in our northern United States, states across the country, travel was hard in the winter. So this was invented so that travel for mail carriers, physicians, utility workers, they could travel much easier by a vehicle with skis.
And this was sold by Ford dealers, correct?
Yes, people would buy the car and they would take it back to the Ford dealership and the dealership would put it on.
This is insane. I've never seen anything like this before. This is crazy. Do you come across these very often?
No, there weren't very many of them made.
And how effective was it? Was it pretty good in the snow?
Yes. We have some original sales literature from the period, and reading some of the comments that were made by people that used it was very interesting, saying that what a difference it made for them in traveling, doctors trying to get to the hospital for emergencies, linemen covering great distances that they couldn't get around before on horse, but they could easily travel in a car like this, and it was so much warmer and more comfortable. They say that these cars can go over an 18-foot drift. Now, we use our car. We've not attempted an 18-foot drift, not yet.
How long have you guys had it?
We've had it, this one we've had probably 13 years.
13 years? Or was it in this condition when you found it?
The car was actually in good condition. We just recently restored it. Matter of fact, we just finished it for the show. But it wasn't a trailer queen. You know, we took it, we drove it all the time in the wintertime. We take it out of state with our club to go snowmobiling with our club. We have some property and we drive it in our backyard. We get people that are driving down the street in their cars, they stop and look at these things, and we just wave them right on in and say, get in it and drive it. Because we feel we want to share a piece of history with people. How often do you get to see one of these, let alone actually be able to drive it?
Yeah, and how does it handle? Is it like driving a snowmobile?
A snowmobile, I think, is a lot easier to drive,
Yeah.
you know. On
It's
the
like
bottom
driving a car.
Yeah, it's like driving a car, driving a Model T Ford. It's a little bit tricky steering sometimes.
That's crazy. So was this something you were looking for? Did you stumble across it? How'd you find this?
Actually, years ago, I took my dad on a trip and we saw a Model A snowmobile in a museum and it was for sale. And we always talked about buying it. So by the time we decided that we wanted to buy it, it was sold already. So after that, it took me 9 years of looking, constant looking to find this. And actually, the funny thing is I found this one and a Model A Ford snowmobile in the same month. You know, it's very rare to find them because you know, we belong to the Model T Ford Snowmobile Club. We know of 40 of these in existence around the world, counting those in museums. We're sure there's a few out in the fields and barns that people don't know of. We know of 20 of the Model A Ford snowmobiles in existence around the world. We own 2 of the A's and we own 1 of the T's.
Oh, is there an oven option with this?
Yes, there is a cooker.
Oh, look at that.
On the engine. This is a manifold cooker. You can put different foods in here and cook. I have a recipe book that tells different foods that you can put in here and how far you have to drive before that food is cooked.
Really?
Right now I have fried chicken and baked potatoes in here cooking. Sort of cooking. We don't have the engine running right now.
How long does it take to cook something like that?
Well, if you have a really big roast, you might have to drive 250 miles. But if you're just driving some trails with the snowmobile, hot dogs cook in no time at all.
Oh, there you go. Hey, throw some leftover pizza in there or something. You're good to go.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's very cool. Thank you so much for showing this to us. It's so awesome.
You're welcome.
Well, this isn't a car, which we've had on the rest of the show, but this is absolutely gorgeous. What are you guys standing next to?
This is a 1947 Garwood sedan.
Wow.
Okay, in 1947, the Garwood Corporation out of Marysville, Michigan, made 32 of these.
I imagine this is all original, right?
No.
How did you find this boat?
It's tied to a dock on Lake Champlain where a cabin had burned down 50 years ago and nobody claimed the boat or the cabin. A friend of mine found out about it and brought it back to Ohio. So he called me up and he says, Les, he says, you've restored a number of boats. He said, I want to sell this to you. And he says, for $1,500, that's what I paid for it.
Wow.
It was in 2 feet of water for over 30 years.
So how much work did you have to put into this?
It actually took me about 5 years. I had some health problems. Took 7.
Was there ever a moment when you thought, what did I get myself into?
Oh yes, I do that most of the time when I'm working on a boat. It's not a boat, it's boats.
Oh, it's absolutely gorgeous. And how do you like riding in it?
Oh, it's always been fun to get out in these boats. You really feel just exciting to do something with an old object that you've made work again. So it's been fun.
And when he said, I bought a boat that was underwater for 30 years, did you think he was crazy?
Of course. But he's been doing things like this for a long time, so and he works hard at them and he really enjoys the challenge, and so that's what makes it worthwhile.
Well, and it's obviously he's gotten very good because this thing is beautiful and we appreciate you showing it to us today.
Well, we're glad to bring it to the shows.
Well, look who I ran into. It's the Buckeye guys.
Good seeing you, Will.
Good to see you too. When we get back from the piston-powered AutoRama, they're going to tell you exactly how much 24-karat gold went into this bad boy. By the way, hair looks great, Bruce.
Thank you. Welcome to Cruising with the Buckeye Guys. This week's edition, we're here at the IX Center Piston Power Show with Ed and his awesome truck he's laid out behind us. Bruce, what have you seen about this truck?
Well, restoring cars for a number of years, I could just tell it's a beautiful job. A lot of detail.
And Ed, explain to us how many nights you've had in this truck and cuss words and stuff like that go on with this project.
It's been a 7-year-long project. It started out as a barn find, 41 Ford truck, and it has just been a very laborious job to get it to this point.
You want to explain to us about the awesome dash work that was done in there, and the bed work, and the hydraulic system. Explain how that all came together.
Right. The dash is from a 1946 Ford passenger car.
It's a very fantastic looking interior in that car. I mean, a truck. It's unbelievable. The engine compartment is well done, and the bed and the chrome on the rear end with the bed lifted up just sets this off. It's really, really fantastic looking. Bruce, what do you want to add to this?
Well, I'd like to say something for the women. This tends to keep the guys out of the bar by all the hours that it takes to put into the car. A lot of just a lot of detail, the contrast between the fenders and the body itself. I could tell that he's got a lot of hours in wet sanding, color sanding, and buffing.
And Bruce, what do they say about the paint work at Barrett-Jackson? What do they say when you're there at Barrett?
Well, I've been to Barrett-Jackson a number of times, they've said that paint is everything. I tend to disagree with that. Every part of the job complements the other, but paint is what grabs most people's eyes.
And the detail work, the chrome work, the engine compartment work, and the interior sets this baby off like no.
Yes, it does.
Let me say this about the paint. When the paint manufacturer found out that we wanted to take it to this level, they said, we will work directly with you and create a paint that no one has ever seen before.
What kind of paint's on the truck?
It's a custom blend, but the paint is two-tone gold. And it had, every gallon of paint has 50,000 chips of 24 karat gold in it.
Wow.
So in the sunlight, it really dances.
Really dances. And these lights here, unfortunately, don't give that effect.
You can't duplicate sunlight, but it dances in sunlight. I'd like to say something about the engine. Most of these custom cars use a big, modern, high-powered engine. This is a flathead engine, which is what came in this car.
Really well laid out.
And decorated and punched out. It's a full race flathead, and it doubled the horsepower, so it's got plenty of power.
It all flows really well. It's just unbelievable. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep. Ed, this is a fantastic truck called the Gold Standard. It's absolutely beautiful. And I just want to appreciate your time being with us.
Thank you.
And Bruce.
Bruce.
Nice talking to you. Beautiful.
Thanks for tuning in with the Buckeye guys here at the IX Center. We'll see you next time.
Coming up.
I wanted to build something cool that nobody else had.
Mission accomplished. Next.
From project to pride and joy, the restoration specialists at Buckeye Classic Car Restoration can make your dreams come true. Our master body, paint, and mechanical technicians have over 100 years of experience. They do research, can communicate every detail of the restoration process, and their restorations win big-time awards. Buckeye Classic Car Restoration cars have been winning awards since 2001. Let the restoration specialists at Buckeye Classic Car Restoration turn your project into an award winner.
Now back to the piston-powered AutoRama on Cruise In.
All right, Frank, this is not something that you could find on a car lot, I don't think.
No, this is something you'd find in your local scrap yard.
What is this?
I call it a scrap rod. It took me years. I wanted to build something cool that nobody else had, and I wanted to show everything. Instead of everybody trying to hide everything, I'm doing the opposite, trying to show it. And then, what happened is everybody wanted to know what they were going to name it. Is it called the Zipmobile or whatever? I said, no. It'll get its own name once it gets further in progress. And then further on down the line, man, it's about 35 years worth of working here. Wow. And finally, a couple of my friends go, you know what? He goes, this whole car you got made from the scrap. He goes, you know what? They got these rat rods now. He goes, why don't you come up with the scrap rod? Hey, you know what? Got the rat rod thing going on. Now I'm going to start the scrap rod thing.
I like it. How did it start? What was the beginning?
It all started with the engine block. It was a blemish block. I worked at a foundry, and then they had some shrinking problems with the mold.
And then from there, it just built out?
It started with the block, and then ended up going to swap meet, buying parts like heads. And
what are some other crazy things that are on here?
The headlights are this is an Enderley fuel injection, which is I converted it over to propane. And then the headlights are the old Velocity stacks.
Oh, wow.
I was looking for a headlight that was kind of unusual, and I had these sitting on the shelf, and you know what? It looks like a cool headlight.
And then the body itself, how did you come up
Well,
with
the
that?
body itself, I kind of like, I'm not too much of a fabricator. And then everybody saw what a cool job I did on the frame and the chassis and all that, and then they're like, you gotta try to make your own stuff, you know. So I did everything different. I put a wedge firewall on it, you know, and
in 35 years in the making.
Started 35 years ago. All started with the engine.
So how did you get to this? The windshield, the steering wheel, is that trial and error you get to these things?
Yeah, trial and error on the windshield. You know, I tried looking at the Duval windshield, and the way that the design was, it was, you know, a short windshield wouldn't be good for driving purposes, so I had to get not too tall, not too short.
And the back tires, so those, you don't usually see tires like that.
Back tires were an economical way out of spending $2,000 for a tire. So I bought all 10 tires through Coker for about under $200.
Really?
Yeah.
And how fast would this go?
I haven't really hit it. I can't get it too fast because it just won't stop spinning the tires.
I say there's like no weight to this thing.
No, the whole car weighs 1,060 pounds.
Wow. And how fast have you gotten it up to?
I've had it up to about 60 miles an hour.
60?
Yeah, I usually take it like just mostly to car shows and cruisings and stuff like that. And it's with the propane tanks on there, I'm limited to about 100 miles. Because I got no way of metering the gas gauge.
Yeah.
It's, you know, I got dual propane tanks on it.
Hey, we appreciate you bringing it out and showing it to us. This is super cool.
Well, thank you for having me.
Well, time flies when you're having fun. I'm Will Burge saying so long from the Piston Powered Auto Show here in Cleveland. Now, if you didn't make it out here, you missed out on this choice Tealbird from Penfound Design. But no worries, it's going to be on tour all summer, so you still have a chance to see it. And we'll see you next time on Cruise In.